everyone, it's Swank Ivy with another Letters to an Asexual. This is number 97, and today I'm going to talk about people who misinterpret any interest that you might have in talking to them as romantic interest and translate that into an inappropriate reaction to your disinterest. Usually something like, oh, there's something very deeply wrong with you and you need to work on yourself to change yourself so that you can feel romantic attraction, or else obviously there is something wrong with you. And they never even stop to think about, hey, maybe there's something wrong with me if I'm trying to change other people to switch their sexual orientation to be attracted to me. So I'm going to read you a conversation that I had with someone quite a while ago. And I got this message on OkCupid, which if this is your first video of mine, you are probably not tuning into this series at number 97, but still, if this happens to be the first time you've heard me say this, I use OkCupid because they do have an option to match you with friendships. Like they have this explicitly friendship-oriented match that I use on there, and because asexuality is one of the options on OkCupid to choose for your sexual orientation, and it allows you to choose whatever genders you want, I like the matching system, and I think that it's relatively sophisticated. But unfortunately, even though I have met some really cool people on there, these are the kind of people I have to kind of steer around in order to be able to be present on the site for those people. So this is the first message that I got from this fellow. And he said, "Hello, dear lady. You have impressed me a lot. Can we become friends?" So of course I was thinking, probably not, dude, because A, I talk in my profile quite extensively about how I feel about vague one-line "I like you" messages. And B, match percentage with this guy was around 60%. So that was pretty awful. But whatever, I sometimes throw people a bone once in a while if they're at least friendly, because number one, I do recognize that some people just like to keep it short. They're not as chatty as me. And number two, I do know that a lot of people complain about, especially sites like OkCupid, if they are registered as male on the site especially, they have trouble getting responses. So sometimes they keep their initial messages short because they don't want to put a whole bunch of effort and heartbreak into getting attached to somebody, the idea of somebody, and then they're just never going to write back, right? So I throw people a bone once in a while. So anyway, I said this to this man. I said, "My profile gives you some pointers on what sorts of people match well with me, so you be the judge of that. I think I was pretty clear about how I want messages with content, and 'you impressed me' says nothing about what you found impressive. If you think we have something in common to talk about, you can start there." And of course, lo and behold, he did write back a significant reply, and sadly it's ridiculous, and ignores the fact that I am explicit about not looking for romance in my profile. Here's what he said. "Hello, dear lady. Thanks for your reply. I would like to elaborate that in which respects you have impressed me. I appreciate your childlike purity and expression of your dreams/ideas. A child remains in the heart of every person, no matter how old he is, and only some people like you are bold enough to accept him in different ways. Your search for romance, too, attracted me. As myself being a romantic poet, I believe more in mind and spirit satisfying intercourse than uniting bodily. I like your tastes in writing, reading, foods, etc., which are quite similar to my own. I appreciate your honesty, clear, refined thought, and straightforward nature. You have a very inquisitive, intelligent brain with high philosophical ideas. Now I would like to share my secret with you, which I have not shared with anyone so far. I am a virgin, very pure in my mind and heart, has never kissed or hugged a girl in my life. I am proud of my virginity, and I am very much virile too. But I know how to Control my desires, passions, so that you may not repent later on. I did love a girl here, though it was a one-sided affair, but she failed to understand my true love and romance, as she had an arrogant and cynic brain. I would like to inform you that only lie which I have posted on OkCupid is that about my age. I am 44 years old. If you think we can move forward, then you are most welcome. I am much interested in you, and we can know each other more through our further interactions. Human personality is so vast and complicated that you cannot cover it in a few text lines. Okay, I shall wait for your reply. Have a nice day ahead. So not only does he discuss this with his apparent misconception that I'm looking for romance, but he rambles a lot about the purity of virginity, which is a totally bogus idea in my eyes. And he doesn't understand what a creepy vibe that has from him saying that, oh, he liked this girl, but she was just too cynical. And she just didn't understand. And so, oh, she was terrible, you know. And so I replied. So I said, hello. I think you may have misunderstood something in my profile because you mentioned liking my search for romance, and I am not searching for romance at all. If you'd like to explain to me what made you think I was looking for romance, maybe I can edit my profile to make it clearer. I thought I was pretty clear, though, that I am only on OkCupid for friendship connections. If that isn't what you're looking for, you're not looking for me. I don't personally associate purity with virginity either, but if that's how you see it, that's up to you. Thanks for the compliments. And now the bullshit starts, guys. It's pretty obvious now that his last crush probably had little, if anything, to do with her arrogance or cynicism. So he says this. Maybe, dear lady, let us forget about romance and anything which is not up to your taste and liking, and be friends, although you seem to be a dry, self-centered, emotionless, and somewhat rude girl. Yet I like and respect your plain talking, factual fantasy, honesty, and would like to explore more of you. It seems you have a rough childhood and didn't get appropriate love and care from your parents, which has turned you into somewhat stone-hearted personality. I'm sorry for my observation if it hurts you, but dear lady, what I feel that you are in dire need of pure, true, and selfless love, may God bless you. Let us begin with our real names. I am, and he put his full name, born on, and his full birth date. My email ID is his email. Now please tell your real name and ID. Have a nice day ahead. What the hell is factual fantasy, anyway? So, usually if people misspell or misuse a word, I can kind of guess what they meant, but I have no idea what that was. So, I bet you want to see my reply, which was followed by my blocking him. I wasn't being rude to you by telling you that you misinterpreted something in my profile or read it wrong when you proposed romance to me. I wasn't unclear. I'm not being unclear now. But let's look at what else you've said. You've assigned me childhood trauma. You've called me emotionless. You've said I'm self-centered. You've told me my parents raised me inappropriately. You've told me I'm stone-hearted and again said it was my parents' fault. And you've somehow decided that what will fix these qualities is true love, presumably from you, the person who dealt with being corrected by throwing a bunch of incredibly arrogant and inappropriate assumptions all over my life. You see this? You've told me what I need instead of respecting me enough to understand that I have already given you more than enough information to understand who I am and how I like to be approached. It's just common courtesy to pay attention to that instead of barging in trying to change it. You're showing me that you think what you want is more important than what I want, or that whatever I say about myself isn't very relevant to our relationship. I think that's the definition of self-centered. Everything you've said to insult my parents, wrongly characterize me as cold and unfeeling, and try to shame me into talking to you is really because you didn't like being corrected, or asked to explain your mistake. I'm afraid it isn't going to help your wounded ego to assign faults to me, and then try to convince me I need your help to fix them. I'm not at all broken. I'm simply not very warm to people who clearly think my profile isn't important enough to read. I'm not here for romance is really prominent in my profile. You mentioning wanting a romance with me makes it very clear you didn't pay attention. So I will thank you to leave me alone. And if you would like to not fail miserably with the next person you try to talk to, read her profile and don't make any assumptions, except to assume that she is the authority on what she wants, and to assume that what she says about herself accurately reflects how you should treat her. I'm sure if he ever brings me up to the next girl, I'll be written up as the person who flipped out on him because, like, I couldn't handle the truth of, his understanding, which cuts so deep and, like, exposed my true problems that happened in my childhood. So anyway, one thing that I think a lot of y'all who are out as asexual will recognize in this is the tendency that people have to assign trauma to us. That's really hard, especially if you have had some trauma, or at least if you've had any trauma surrounding coming out as asexual. It can be really difficult to respond to that appropriately because it's so common for people like him to repeatedly tell you that regardless of what you say about yourself, you must have been hurt by someone else. And the disgusting egotism that people have and the unwarranted confidence that they have in this observation is really disappointing because they feel comfortable and confident bringing this up in a conversation with a stranger or near stranger. And yes, people who might be close to us might also assign us trauma, but I think it's a lot more common for people who don't know us at all to be like, well, clearly something really awful happened to you, and maybe your parents hurt you, or you must not have been hugged enough as a child. It's like, number one, if that was true, you shouldn't be bringing that up in a conversation as like this trump card to beat a person down and make them submit to you, or like to try to punish them for their gall to reject you or to not be interested in whatever romance you're proposing. But then also, if that actually is a part of your past somewhere, even if it has nothing to do with your sexuality, just to constantly be confronted with people saying this about you is really harmful. And we see it a lot in queer communities in general, and specifically in the ace community. The near constant drumbeat about what trauma we must have gone through in order to identify this way is very difficult to get past. And no matter how long you spend in the activism community with attempts to spread awareness about asexuality, it really just never stops surprising you how many people are willing to just drop right into you were abused or you were hurt or you were not loved as a child. It's just so awful for someone to say that to someone as an actual suggestion for what must be wrong with them. So anyway, yeah, I blocked this person, and I tend to block people a lot faster than I used to these days. Even that was a pretty fast block, but today I don't think I would even respond to this person. I don't think I would respond even to their first message. I feel like if you're not going to put any effort into it, if you're not going to read what I had to say about myself, just spend a couple of minutes saying, oh, this person looks neato, I think that I should read more about her and find out, like, how does this person want to be approached? To talk to me as if I'm something more than a number, to talk to me as if I'm actually a human being who you would like to find some kind of value in our relationship. But instead, here he was to tell me something was wrong with me so that maybe I would lose the confidence that I had and let him beat me into submission to be whatever he was looking for, to kind of mold me into his idea of, what he thought I was or what he was hoping I was when he approached me. So Anyway, feel free to share any of your thoughts on these if you've met somebody like this, or in the broader sense, if you've had people bring up, well, you must have been abused as a child, or you must not have been loved enough as a child if you're not interested in romance. Especially those of us who are aromantic will recognize this. We'll be told that we're cold, we'll be told that we're stone-hearted, and you know, I happen to be an aromantic person who does feel a lot of other kinds of love, and it's really gross that people assume that all of those things are absent from my life, or that I don't have any satisfying relationships if I don't love romantically, or if I don't have someone in a romantic relationship with me. So, anyway, I always welcome comments, so feel free to share your thoughts. Thanks for listening to yet another frustrating letter to an asexual, and I'll see you in the next one.